Alex earns $105,000 a year. By global standards, this places him in the top 1% of income earners. By American national standards, he is comfortably upper middle class. He has no criminal record. He has a master's degree in statistics. He arrives at his desk at 8:30 a.m. every morning and leaves at 5:30 p.m. Yet Alex checks his bank account 3 times a day. He tracks the price of eggs. He has delayed repairing the radiator in his 2016 sedan for 4 months. He lives in a constant, low-frequency state of financial peril. This is not a story about poverty. It is a story about the illusion of solvency. It is about a specific type of professional trap found in the Pacific Northwest, where the numbers on a paycheck suggest prosperity, but the mathematics of the city dictate survival. Alex is a data analyst in Seattle. He did everything right, and he is discovering that in this city, stability is no longer a product of competence. To understand Alex's situation, we must first understand the promise of the city. For a decade, Seattle sold a very specific narrative to the American workforce. If San Francisco was the chaotic casino of the tech world, a place of boom and bust startups and erratic billionaires, Seattle was the bank. It was the headquarters of the adults in the room. It is the home of cloud computing giants and logistical empires, companies that built the infrastructure of the internet and the supply chains of the world. For a data analyst like Alex, Seattle represented the safe bet. Alex is 34 years old. He is married. He is not a risk taker. He does not own cryptocurrency. He does not day trade. He prefers index funds and fixed-rate mortgages. He chose his career path specifically because data analysis is transferable. Every company, regardless of the sector, needs someone to interpret their numbers. The promise of Seattle was simple. Come here, work for a stable legacy tech company or a large healthcare network, and you will achieve the mid-century American ideal. You will own a home. You will save for retirement. You will have weekends off to hike in the Cascades. This reputation for stability drew thousands of people like Alex. They were not chasing the adrenaline of a stock IPO. They were chasing the predictability of a corporate ladder. They believed that if they possessed a high-value skill, the market would reward them with a high-value life. Alex believed that high income equals high security. He moved to Washington State under the assumption that a 6-figure salary was a finish line. He did not realize it was merely an entry fee. 2 years ago, Alex received the email that validated his career choice. A mid-sized logistics software company in downtown Seattle offered him a position. The title was Senior Data Analyst. The responsibilities were clear: manage SQL databases, visualize quarterly trends, and support the marketing team with actionable insights. The base salary was $105,000. To Alex, living at the time in a smaller market in the Midwest, this number was staggering. It was a 40% increase over his previous earnings. It was a number that, on paper, solved every problem he had. It meant he could pay off the last of his student loans. It meant he and his partner could start thinking about a family. He accepted the offer within 24 hours. He did not negotiate aggressively because the number already felt like a windfall. He felt safe. He looked at the cost of living calculators, saw that Seattle was expensive, but reasoned that $105,000 provided a massive margin for error. He arrived in the city in late autumn. He rented a standard apartment in a neighborhood that wasn't trendy but wasn't dangerous. He set up his desk. He began his work. He felt he had secured his future. Let us look at the reality of Alex's ledger. We must strip away the prestige of the job title and look at the cash flow. Alex's gross pay is $105,000 per year. Washington State has no personal income tax. This is often cited as a major financial advantage. However, federal taxes still apply. Social Security and Medicare taxes still apply. And Alex, being responsible, contributes 5% to his 401k to get the company match. He also pays his portion of the health insurance premium for himself and his partner. His monthly take-home pay, the net amount that hits his checking account, is approximately $6,400. This is the hard number. $6,400. Now we apply the cost of Seattle. Alex and his partner live in a 2-bedroom apartment. They do not live in a luxury high-rise with a concierge. They live in a walk-up building constructed in the 1980s. The average rent for a decent 2-bedroom unit in Seattle ranges between $1,950 and $2,300. Alex pays $2,200. Immediately, 34% of his net income is gone. Then there are the utilities: water, sewer, garbage, and electricity. In Seattle, these are often billed separately from rent. During the damp, gray winter, heating costs rise. Internet is non-negotiable for his job. This adds $250. We are down to $3,950. Then, groceries. Seattle's cost of living is approximately 40% higher than the US average. Food costs are a significant part of that. A basic weekly shop for 2 people, chicken, vegetables, rice, basic household goods, runs closer to $150 or $170 than the national average of $100. That is $650 a month. We are down to $3,300. Transportation. Alex drives a paid-off sedan, but Washington State has some of the highest gas prices in the nation due to carbon taxes and geographic isolation from refineries. He pays for car insurance, which has spiked nationally. He pays for parking at his building, $150 per month. Total transport costs, $450. We are down to $2,850. This is where the margin supposedly exists. But life is not just sleeping and eating. There are student loan payments, $300. There are medical copays and prescriptions, $100. There is the inevitable MISC category: a friend's wedding gift, a new pair of shoes, a haircut, $250. Alex is left with roughly $2,200. This sounds like a success. He has a surplus. He is not in the red, but this surplus is deceptive. It is a surplus that exists only if nothing goes wrong. It is a surplus that does not account for the ultimate goal of the American middle class: ownership. The defining anxiety of Alex's life is not his current rent check. It is the future. Alex and his partner want to buy a home. They want to stop moving every time a landlord raises the rent. They want stability. In the Seattle metro area, the median home price hovers around $800,000 to $900,000. In decent school districts, it is over $1 million. Housing costs here are more than 100% higher than the national average. To buy a median home, an $850,000 house, Alex needs a down payment. If he wants to avoid private mortgage insurance and get a decent interest rate, he should aim for 20%. That is $170,000 in cash. Let's look at his surplus again. If Alex saves aggressively, if he denies himself vacations, keeps driving the old car, and saves $1,000 every single month, he is saving $12,000 a year. To save $170,000 at that rate will take him 14 years. But that assumes home prices stay flat. They do not. They rise. If we adjust for a more realistic savings rate of 5% of his gross income, which is typical for someone managing unexpected life costs, the timeline expands. At that rate, it would take Alex roughly 20 to 22 years to save for a down payment. He begins the job at 34. He will be ready to buy his first home at 56. This is the math that keeps Alex awake at 2 a.m. He realizes that his $105,000 salary is a rental salary. He is renting his lifestyle. He is renting his proximity to the industry. He is earning enough to participate in the city's economy, but not enough to own a piece of it. Time becomes the hidden tax. Every month he rents is a month he isn't building equity. But he cannot enter the equity market because the entry fee is moving away from him faster than he can chase it. For the first year, Alex managed this anxiety by telling himself he would get promoted. He would jump to a senior lead role. He would get a raise to $130,000. Then the atmosphere changed. In late 2022 and throughout 2023, the Seattle economy shifted. The region is heavily dependent on the tech sector. When tech catches a cold, Seattle gets pneumonia. The large firms, the anchors of the city, began rounds of layoffs. Tens of thousands of high-earning workers were suddenly flooding the job market. Alex kept his job. His company didn't do a mass layoff. Instead, they did something quieter. They announced a strategic pause on hiring. They stopped backfilling roles when people left. They cut the travel budget. They canceled the software subscriptions that made Alex's job easier. The office, once buzzing with the optimism of growth, became quiet. Alex noticed a change in his manager. The weekly one-on-one meetings shifted from career development to justification of existence. Alex was asked to log his hours more precisely. He was asked to quantify the ROI of every report he generated. The raise he expected did not happen. He received a cost of living adjustment of 2.5%, which was effectively a pay cut given the rate of inflation. This is where the trap tightened. Alex could not leave. The job market was flooded with desperate talent from the big giants. He had to hold on to his current role with a white-knuckle grip. His confidence evaporated. He stopped buying coffee near the office. He canceled the streaming services. He and his partner decided to wait another year before trying for a child. This brings us to the core truth of Alex's existence in Seattle. In a normal economy, a data analyst's stability is tied to the utility of their work. If the data is accurate and the insights are useful, the job is safe. In Seattle, stability depends on stock price. Alex's company is publicly traded, or if it is not, it serves clients who are. The entire ecosystem of the city is calibrated to the quarterly earnings reports of 5 or 6 massive corporations. When Wall Street demands efficiency, stock prices drop. When stock prices drop, leadership teams signal discipline. Discipline, in corporate language, means reducing headcount. Alex realizes that his employment has nothing to do with whether he is good at SQL. It has nothing to do with his work ETHIC. He could work 12 hours a day, produce the best dashboard of his career, and still be fired on a Tuesday morning because a hedge fund in New York decided his company's operating margin needed to improve by 40 basis points. His safety is tied to a casino he is not allowed to play in. Every time the market dips, he feels it in the hallways. Projects get put on hold. The free snacks disappear from the break room. A petty but symbolic signal of austerity. He checks the stock ticker of his company's largest client. If they are down, he knows his budget might be cut next quarter. He has become a watcher of macroeconomic winds, paralyzed by forces completely outside his control. The result is a specific psychological condition common to the modern white-collar worker, the feeling of being replaceable. Alex lives with a low-level hum of fear. It is not the sharp, acute fear of being held at gunpoint. It is the dull, chronic ache of knowing you are standing on a trapdoor. He stops taking risks at work. He stops suggesting bold new ideas because bold ideas can fail, and failure puts a target on your back. He becomes a bureaucrat of his own career. He documents everything. He creates paper trails. He focuses on optics rather than output. This caution bleeds into his personal life. He and his partner have the money talk every Sunday. It is a tense, quiet conversation. They look at the $2,200 surplus, and they don't see potential. They see a buffer against disaster. They don't see a vacation to Japan. They see 3 months of rent if Alex gets laid off. They become hoarders of cash. They live below their means, not out of virtue, but out of terror. Alex walks through his neighborhood. He sees the cranes. He sees the Teslas. He sees the external markers of wealth, but he feels disconnected from them. He feels like a guest who has stayed too long at a party where he can no longer afford the drinks. He questions his competence. If I make $105,000 and I feel this insecure, he thinks, I must be doing something wrong. He is not doing anything wrong. He is simply playing a game where the rules of the board have changed while he was moving his piece. To understand the severity of this misalignment, we must look away from the coast. Let us imagine a version of Alex who did not choose Seattle. Let's call him David. David is also a data analyst. He works in Columbus, Ohio, or perhaps Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. David's salary is lower. He makes $85,000 a year. On paper, he is less successful than Alex. He earns $20,000 less. But let's look at David's math. David's rent for a similar two-bedroom apartment is $1,200. David's groceries cost $400. David's gas is cheaper. David's net income is lower, perhaps $5,200 a month. But his fixed costs are drastically lower. And here is the crucial difference: housing. In David's city, a nice home costs $350,000. To save a 20% down payment, $70,000, David needs to save for 4 or 5 years, not 22. David can see the path to ownership. Because he can see the path, he feels ownership over his career. He is not terrified of a single earnings report because his city's economy is diversified. Insurance, manufacturing, education, healthcare. It is not a monolith dependent on the stock performance of big tech. David buys a coffee without guilt. David repairs his car immediately. David feels stable. Alex, with his higher salary and prestigious Seattle address, is mathematically poorer and emotionally more fragile than David. Alex is beginning to realize the truth. He sits in his $2,200 apartment, listening to the rain hit the window. He looks at his spreadsheet. He realizes that the tech hub premium is a myth. The extra money he earns in Seattle passes through his hands like water. It flows directly from his employer to his landlord, to the grocery chain, to the gas station. He is merely a conduit for capital, not a keeper of IT. He realizes that stability in a tech city is a marketing term. He thought stability meant a steady paycheck. But true stability is the ability to withstand a shock. In Seattle, the cost of existence is so high that even a high earner has very little shock absorption. If Alex loses his job, his burn rate is $4,000 a month just to keep the lights on and the roof up. His severance would last 8 weeks. His savings would last perhaps 4 months. Then he is gone. He realizes that the city does not care about him. The city was built for the companies. As long as the company's stock prices are high, the city thrives. If the companies stumble, the city sheds its workers like dead skin. Alex is the skin. Tomorrow, Alex will wake up at 7 a.m. He will drive his 2016 sedan through the gray morning light. He will sit at his desk. He will open his SQL database. He will query the numbers. He will earn his portion of the $105,000. He is not poor. He is not hungry. He has a warm bed. By all historical metrics, he is a king. But he will check the stock market news before he checks his email. He will feel that tightening in his chest when he sees a headline about market headwinds. He has stability as long as the line on the graph goes up. He has a home as long as he keeps paying the rent that buys him no equity. He has a future as long as the algorithm of the city decides he is still necessary. We are left to ask, if a man earns 6 figures, follows every rule, saves his money, and still feels one bad quarter away from ruin, is he actually stable? Or is he just expensive cargo on a ship he doesn't steer?